Wonderful. And your organization is much needed in these times. And what is the vision for how your organization will evolve with this movement?
Sure. So we just want to be the tool. We want to be the way that people get connected to their opportunities and to their experiences. We're going to be participating in All for Good eventually, so we're very excited to be a part of that, and we just want to get our content and the opportunities that we present out there on the internet. So we want to partner with as many organizations and websites as we can to help them use this tool and increase transparency and help all these nonprofits do their work.
Wonderful. One thing that I've come across just in the last week with certain announcements of new websites and whatnot, there's serve.gov, and then there's All for Good, and then there's Great Nonprofits and GuideStar. How do you see all of these organizations working together to meet the same goal and not being confusing for people?
Yeah, it is confusing, and what's heartening is that there are talks already about making sure that there isn't too much overlap, and that relevant links and webs are created so that people know how to use which sites. Serve.gov and All for Good are essentially the same thing at this point, so at least that eliminates that confusion. GuideStar is working to try and aggregate everything into a more usable interface. So we're working with them on that, and we're very excited that sites like All for Good are providing an open source option for people and for other organizations that want to jump in and eliminate overlap and eliminate duplicating anyone's work, because that's just silly.
And you said you were working in partnership with GuideStar to work on a storytelling component for them as well?
Yep, so GuideStar just launched a new feature of their website called the GuideStar Exchange, which allows nonprofits to present more information and more types of information besides just the tax form 990. So we're a part of that, and the reviews on our website also show up on the GuideStar profile of every organization, which greatly increases the exposure of these reviews to prospective donors and volunteers. So it's a really wonderful partnership.
Wonderful. And so you've been at the conference, I guess, since Monday? Did you?
Off and on.
Off and on. Okay. Did you have a chance to see the First Lady speech?
I actually missed it. I had to miss it. I didn't get to see it.
Okay.
I'm going to watch it online, though.
Okay. I've been asking people what their most inspiring moment of the conference was. So far, a lot of people have turned to that. Has there been anything in particular that has sort of been a special experience for you, or?
Not yet. I really love just meeting people and talking with everyone about what they're doing, what they're excited about, and learning the possibilities of, working together or helping them out. And so I really love just walking around in the exhibitors hall or downstairs or after various sessions and meeting people. That's what I enjoy.
Yeah. And tell us a little bit about the history of Great Nonprofits and how the idea came about and how long it's been around.
We've been live for about a year and a half, but the idea actually came from my CEO's work after Hurricane Katrina. So she was publishing the Stanford Social Innovation Review Journal, and when Katrina hit, she had all these friends and colleagues coming to her saying, where should we give? Where should we volunteer? And she didn't know what to tell them. She didn't know which organizations were on the ground working. She didn't know which ones were doing a good job. She ended up sending one of her staff reporters down to Biloxi, Mississippi, and he literally walked the streets for a week and asked people, where did you get that blanket? Who gave you dinner last night?
Wow.
And by the end of the week, he had identified several nonprofits, tiny little local nonprofits, having an amazing impact in the community that no one had ever heard of.
Wow.
And so, she thought, okay, something's missing here. We need to fill this gap, and that's how Great Nonprofits started.
And how does it start from, being focused on one geographic location to being nationwide and being comprehensive at the same time?
It's tough, and we're still in the process of building content and expanding. We launched a pilot in Pittsburgh in 2007, and that's a wonderful community, very cohesive nonprofits, and we had a lot of fun with them. And then we launched in the Bay Area in June, and we've been doing a lot, June of 2008, sorry, and we've been doing a lot of direct outreach and have really built an amazing awareness in the Bay Area of what we do. And recently we started national campaigns. And what we do is we have month-long issue-focused campaigns where we help promote nonprofits working in a specific cause area, such as cancer, which is coming up in July, or back to school and children and youth organizations, which will be in August. And we had an environmental campaign in April that was hugely successful. We got almost 1,000 reviews of environmental organizations, and we were able to promote all of the leaders of the campaign in media coverage that we got. So it was a really wonderful experience, and we're excited to continue it over the course of the year.
And have you ever dealt, I'm just curious, just practically speaking, you know, there might be a given volunteer who went to a nonprofit and had one experience that wasn't great. So that's maybe the one story on that nonprofit's section. How do you deal with that when, obviously it's not in the interest of the nonprofit to have that one up there,
right,
but yet you need to be fair to what your clients
absolutely
are saying.
Absolutely. So we don't take down reviews, but a lot of nonprofits will say, well, there's an issue with this, it's not really true anymore, we've been working on it. And what we say, we have a way for nonprofits to comment directly on a review where everybody can see what they say. So they can say, well, why don't you take another look, you know, we've made some changes, or, you know, that particular day was sort of out of the ordinary, or something like that. People can also privately message a reviewer through our system, so it's all anonymous, but they can begin a dialogue if they'd like and talk a little bit more about the feedback that they gave, so the organization can really get to the bottom of why that person's experience was not positive.
It sounds like this could really play a role in helping nonprofits be more effective. It's kind of like a little check and balance. In what areas, you know, is this new era comes upon us, and what areas do you think, from your experience of maybe some of the complaints, do nonprofits have some growing room in?
Main complaints generally fall under staff management and staff behavior, or when organizations tend to call or nag people about donating, things like that. And then the other negative reviews generally focus on management of financial assets, staff salaries, things like that. You know, those are very hot button issues right now. So a lot of people that have problems with organizations tend to focus on how they're using their money. Although the animal rescue and animal shelter field is incredibly passionate, and so the reviews in that area are either overwhelmingly positive and really just waxing lyrical about the work, or they are slamming these organizations for killing animals, mistreating animals. It's really unbelievable how passionate these people can be. Wow.
And so are you a small staff, or are you a growing staff?
We are a tiny staff. It's myself and our CEO, full-time, that's it.
Wow.
We have a couple of interns that are working for us this summer, and we have part-time web developers and engineers and designers that work for us on a contracting basis. So it's tough, but we make it work.
And what's that like? I think there's a lot of folks here at this conference and a lot of nonprofit leaders who, you know, have an idea about a very specific niche thing that they want to fix, and I give them so much credit for, you know, having that idea, following through with that idea. But it's a real challenge to, you know, take on a big issue with two people. How do you manage that?
It's tough, but it's also exciting, because with a small staff you can really be creative, take your ideas and run with it, especially since we're on the internet. We're very flexible, and it's really an exciting space to be in. But I will repeat what Ariana Huffington said at the Craigslist boot camp address that she gave this past Saturday. If you think you're too small to have an effect, you've never been in bed with a mosquito.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, Sherry, thank you so much for your time.
Well, thank you for having me.
Work that you do. It's is it greatnonprofits.org?
Yep, greatnonprofits.org.